Hi there, everyone. Good day, and I'd like to share with you for this lesson about phase change. Basically, this is the lesson with regards to the physical changes in matter, or in sciences, this is related to the topic all about the chemistry. All right, so welcome. Okay, so the first term that you have to learn about phase change is freezing or solidification. This matters when there's a change from liquid to solid. That example of a picture here that you can describe, of course, this is a refrigerator. Once you put the things or food that you want to freeze and lower down the temperature or the colder temperature, immediately the liquid will turn into solid. The second term you have to learn is the melting that changes the solid to liquid. It's the opposite of freezing, just I mentioned a while ago. So we have here a picture example of changes of solid to liquid, like the ice cream. It melts. Okay, so why it happened? Because the temperature in the surrounding is higher than the temperature of the object. Therefore, the temperature gets inside of it, or release, okay, the temperature, and suddenly, okay, this increases, okay, or balance with the surrounding temperature. So that's why it melts. The next thing that you have to learn for phase change is evaporation. That changes the liquid to gas. So when you boil a liquid and it evaporates into the atmosphere, as an example here on the picture, you have to describe this change. Okay, so perhaps it's a coffee there or a healthy drink, and this the temperature inside is hot than or hotter than the surrounding, therefore you can see that it evaporates. Okay, so this in turn decreases the amount of water inside, and because of the high temperature. Okay, and aside from that, the gas actually releases to the atmosphere. So next, what happens when the solid objects turned into gas immediately? This is an example of a sublimation. It's another phase change, wherein, as you can see here, these are examples of mothballs. So if that the temperature, a higher temperature in the surrounding area, makes these mothballs to release, okay, their molecules into the atmosphere, or turns them into gas. Okay, so don't forget the term we use for the changes in solid to gas is the sublimation. Another interesting phase change that you have to learn is the condensation that takes place when the gas turns to liquid. This is the opposite of evaporation, as I mentioned earlier. So in turn, okay, the gas again goes back to liquid. As you can see in this picture, okay, the surrounding area is hotter than what's inside. Okay, so of course, the inside temperature is lower. Okay, in fact, if this happens, the gases at the surrounding area turns into the attracted, okay, to the surface, okay, of this cold water. So in turn, it becomes liquid. Okay, so that's why if you have soft drinks, or if you have other healthy drinks like orange drinks and it's cold, so the outside temperature is hotter or very hot, and it will have this event, okay, of a Sometimes we call it as a dew. Okay, and this is actually a gas that turns into liquid. All right. All right. So in this phase change, you can see the example of a deposition, wherein the a gas turns to solid directly. So if you can describe this picture, you have the leaves and the gases around it or surrounding, especially turns into solid, right? So that's the best way to learn and know the meaning of deposition. Actually, what happened when a phase change? So the phase change is the state of substance that changes from one form to another without change in the chemical composition. During phase change, the energy is either absorbed or released, and when a substance changes from one state of matter to another, it undergoes a reversible physical change. Okay, so as I've indicated earlier, especially the examples and the terms used were all actually reversible. Okay, so from solid to gas, and then from gas to solid. Okay, so the six most common phase transitions are melting, freezing, vapor, or condensation, sublimation, and deposition. Okay, or vapor or evaporation. Right. The three examples here are melting, evaporation, sublimation. Of course, as I already explained a while ago, okay, their meaning. You have the example of melting, actually ice melts, evaporation, boiling water, sublimation. The examples are incense and mothballs. This changes makes the kinetic energy of the molecules to increase, and the faster the molecules move, that results to farther distance of the particles because the surrounding temperature also increases. So take note, these three changes, okay, or phase change, are due or because of the increase in temperature of the surrounding area. So once it increases, the kinetic energy or the molecules move faster. Okay? So when it moves faster, the results of these molecules also becomes farther in distances. Right? This is a simple presentation and at the same time an animation of the effect of changes in temperature to the particles of solid, liquid, and gas. So as I've introduced to you a while ago, the phase changes when the kinetic energy actually increases because of the higher temperature. So you can see on the left, okay, the low temperature, this is the effect or the movement of the particles. It means slowly, and when we increases the temperature of the surrounding, the high temperature causes these molecules to move, and you have to notice that they are farther apart to each other, right? The three examples here of phase change are the opposite of what I have mentioned earlier. So you have the first, freezing or solidification. Second, you have condensation. Third, deposition. So I've already explained to you about the meaning of these three, and we have examples for freezing or solidification. You have water turned to ice. The second to that, condensation, you have water vapor to water, and the deposition, wherein a carbon dioxide fire extinguisher has been filled with gaseous carbon dioxide, but inside the canister, the higher pressure causes this to turn into solid carbon dioxide, which later is released as a white powder when putting out a fire. So why this happens, why this three-phase change happens, because this is the opposite of the changes that makes the kinetic energy decreases. The particles move slowly and the distance of particles move closer because the surrounding temperature decreases. Okay, so remember, when the surrounding temperature decreases, the distances of the particles move closer, and their kinetic energy also decreases. It decreases the movement of the particles. All right. Here is an example showing of an animation. The left side is cold temperature, and the right one, or the right side, is at hot temperature. You'll notice that it's almost the same of the animation that I've shared with you a while ago. And this one here, you'll notice if the temperature is hot, so it increases in it excites the movement, right? It expands, okay? So on the other hand, when it is cold, the temperature lowers down. At the same time, the particles of the molecules move together, and doesn't that move very well, right? So thank you, and I'm hoping that you've learned a lot for today's lesson. Thank you so much for listening, and if you have questions you may ask, you can just inform me. By the way, okay, I am thankful also for your participation. Have a wonderful day.